Welcome everybody to the Everyday Health Hacker Podcast. I'm Mike Herzing, along with this awesome lady.
Oh, thank you.
Dr. Lisa Leal.
Hi, everyone.
Dr. Leal is Chief Medical Officer right here at Meridian Health Institute, Sugar Land, Texas. This is a great place. This lady knows how to cook. This lady knows how to cook the good stuff. The lady knows how to cook the good stuff where you really don't gain weight, which is even better.
Yeah, and we're doing that on a lot of our stories in Instagram at Everyday Health Hacker and also Meridian Health Institute that we're posting so that we can give tips and tricks to help keep our calories down and still enjoy great food and recipes.
You know, it really is kind of cool. And you can make, you know, I hate to say diet food because it's really not right. It's a lifestyle.
Healthy food.
It's healthy
food.
Healthy
it's all
food.
good for you and it tastes great.
You can make it taste good. There's no carb overload. You know, we were talking about the last thing where you see the pictures. Everybody has Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner and just holidays, and they're all, you know,
yes.
Everybody's passed
They're
out. Exhausted, and you get the carb over. See, people sometimes will have a heavy lunch, and they go back to work and they're half asleep.
Absolutely. It's one of the things that here when we're going to lunch, we do a high protein meal just because I always believe it in the sense of you're kind of like an Olympic athlete. You've got to be best for your first patient as well as the very end of the day. We want that same energy and that same thought process for every single person. So we hold ourselves very accountable to maintaining a good nutritional plan. And people will look at Dr. Folds and, you know, he just turned 73 and he's always, you know, smiling and everybody's like, no, you're 53. And I'm like, no, I'm 53. He's 73.
Well, you know, people say, I remember I saw somebody eating French fries. He goes, I'm carb loading. Yeah,
well,
right.
It is a carb load, and you can make French fries in a one of those special fryers that actually holds no grease. I mean, there's ways of doing it with air frying, and it tastes good. I
air fry everything,
and it tastes good. And it looks like Dr. Denali has graced us with her presence,
That's
checking
right.
things out. Sweet little girl.
There you go. But I air fry everything just about. It's great.
It's easy. I mean, last week we did egg rolls, and they were low carb. No sugar, obviously, and it was tasty. And those are like kind of our go-to in-between snacks because, you know, we do boiled eggs, deviled eggs, but you get tired of eggs every now and then. So, but that is one, and that's also Denali playing with her toy because she's being ignored while we're here doing on the podcast.
A little bacon-wrapped jalapeno or something like that.
Bacon-wrapped jalapeno. Oh, yeah.
Everything with bacon-wrapped would be good. You know?
I like things with mushrooms. Anything wrapped in mushrooms, stuffed mushrooms, because it's really low calorie. I actually call it an empty calorie. I don't count them on my calorie counter. And sweet peppers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. When those are grilled, you can add them with everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, last night we were craving pasta, so we did what I call our late night pasta dish, which is zoodles, zucchini noodles. And then we did our ground turkey and our sauce, and it was great with some little mozzarella cheese. It was fabulous. So just different ways to do a very common item.
You know, the holidays between, you know, November and January, you know, my goal is just not to gain anything. I'm not really trying to lose. I'm just not trying to gain. You know,
so it's setting our, not necessarily our goal. It is, this is where I'm going to maintain it so that we're going to set new goals in January because we all always do, or at least I hope that you do. And if you don't, maybe this year you will with us. And that's right. You know, a lot of patients have said that, you know, I just don't want to gain during the holidays. I don't want to gain over Thanksgiving or Christmas. And it is just a matter of being mindful, you know, enjoying that small slice, but maybe cutting back on the stuffing that's a high carb, or maybe making your sweet potato casserole with Swerve or another product to sweeten it so that you don't have such a high sugar count, and then you're not in sugar carb coma later.
I've started to use, like you said, the monk fruit and the stevia and things like that, and it's, you know, it's sweeter, but it has a little bit of a different taste than sugar. But in about 2 weeks, you're just used to it.
You get used to it.
And then sugar tastes funny after that.
And a lot of people will say, well, stevia is so bitter. And I'm like, there's certain brands that have absolutely no bitterness. New stevia is my favorite.
That's it.
That's my favorite. Sometimes I won't use any type of sweetener. I'll use Mio or something like that in order to just give a different flavor. And then sometimes, there's these different, mocktails. A lot of people are having cocktails during this holiday season, and I always encourage the mocktail, which is going to be your favorite carbonated drink, which might be Topo Chico, it might be Perrier, and then adding a little bit of a low calorie, low sugar cranberry juice, and then you've got a mocktail right there. Or lime, and put a little straw in it with an umbrella. Now you've got a mocktail ready to go wherever you are.
But if you want to have an alcoholic beverage, you want to have an ice cream, you want to have a stuff, that's fine, but do it in moderation.
In moderation.
And
Absolutely.
then don't, like you always say, don't cheat yourself, or don't, whatever. Just remember, you're going to have to maybe give up something here to
Live
get
life.
this. Live your life, because you're going to feel cheated or something like that.
Don't feel cheated. If you need to indulge safely, which means, if you are out and about, have a designated driver. And then there's also many of these different companies that you can have an app and download, and they can pick you up. Be careful out there, because there are some crazy drivers. Just with the holiday madness and rush, people are in a rush and they're not thinking through what they need to be doing. They're not stopping at the stop sign. They're running through it. Just this last week, we've had a lot of car accidents that patients have called that they were in because people behind them just weren't watching. They were texting. They were looking at a map. They weren't watching. So I just encourage everybody, be mindful, be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah. Everybody's heading to Baskin Robbins.
Yeah. Well, maybe so. But if you want to drive fast out there, choose a track. There's lots of car tracks out there.
Get an Uber to take me to Baskin Robbins right now. I have to go. But honest to gosh, it's holidays, it's fun. We've got the new year coming. I know it's going to be better.
It is.
We're getting that much farther away from this pandemic stuff. It's calming down.
We're going to be halfway through.
The economy's got to get a little better. Everything's getting better. I think
everybody just do their part. Stay positive. And if you get down and you get overwhelmed, one of the things that I personally always go back to are the walls of Jericho. And just to remind everybody of the story, the walls of Jericho is that God had his people walk around the walls of Jericho 7 times, 6 times one direction, on the 7th day 6 times in the opposite direction. And what he shared with his people is they could not talk to each other. Why? Because they probably would have been negative, and they would have probably been negative to each other, and they probably wouldn't have been kind, so they did it in silence. And lo and behold, on that 7th day, those walls crumbled down all by themselves. So that's where I share with people, this is a time for prayer, this is a time for obedience, and this is a time that we do truly treat each other like we want to be treated. And that's kindness and love, and we want to spread that out. And it's truly the best gift you can give to each other is to love one another.
Sure, but also you have to understand, watching the news like that, somebody that's been in the media for 15 years, I can tell you, bad news sells, and that's what they want to tell you. So you have to take all that with a grain of salt.
And that's why I always remind everybody that they walked in silence, so silence is good for you.
Yeah, silence is good for you. Everything will all take care of us. I grew up in the 60s, so everything was really bad. We just didn't have a camera everywhere. And so...
But those that have lived
it,
you saw it, and you saw the changes in our country. Right. And I always share that as I'm talking to friends and loved ones that are baby boomers. I mean, you guys, we have our World War II era generation that really helped to build America to where it is. Our baby boomers, which is mainly their children, came along and brought it to another level. And now we have these next generations, and we all need to do our part.
It's going to be good. Everybody's going to be fine, but it's just ups and downs, peaks and valleys. But the country always straightens itself out. It always does. And
we're going to get there.
And we're going to get there.
And you're going to be healthy doing it.
That's right.
That's the key.
You might as well get ready for the good times.
Take care of you so that you can take care of others.
Absolutely. But, always you can look for this at this website. You can look at our podcast, you can look at things like that, and there's always tips on how to feel better, how to eat better, how to do
take a look at
everything.
Our mini courses, because we have the mini courses.
You're down 70 or 80 pounds. I've lost 75 pounds. So I don't look a day over 69, You know?
And I promise I'll post those pictures one day.
No, let's not.
But we do have some mini, I meant on mine, mini courses on how to average your carbs and how to count your calories. So those are free to anyone. Just take a look at Everyday Health Hacker, and we hope that you'll subscribe, comment, and like on our podcast and YouTube.
Yep, everydayhealthhacker.com. So folks, everything else, you have any questions, any kind of things you want to throw at us, anything you want to say, hey, we want you to talk about this, we'll be glad to.
We'll be glad to. And our learning lab is there, and what we welcome the opportunity to teach, because that's where we learn, is by also doing the extra research if we need to. And we want to answer your questions to be your medical and dental resource for you and your family.
That'll work. All right, folks, on behalf of Dr. Lisa Liao, the great folks right here at Meridian Health Institute.
Go team.
And our awesome producer, Jack McCraw. I want to thank everybody for joining us and listening and watching and subscribing and things like that. We really hope you appreciate it, because we appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. God bless you all, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Have a great week.